Hello everybody and welcome back once again to the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook brought to you by Duncan. America runs on Duncan. And once again this week, we are pleased to be joined by Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Of course, Matt, the one thing that we have to talk about and really don't want to is the virus that is sweeping throughout the world and is causing havoc with so many people's lives. And of course, it is impacting the high school sports scene.
Yeah, right now the high school sports scene, and really the sports scene around the world, like you said a second ago, is just on hold for the second. And you obviously understand the decision, but you also really have to feel sympathy for these college players, for these high school players, so on and so forth. That their dream, their livelihood in a certain degree when you go to the pro level. But I mean, the love of the game of the high school kids is really just put on hold right now, and you have to feel for them.
Well, that's the thing. When this first started happening, I don't think we ever really foresaw it going to this extent. And, you know, I think about the seniors who are going to play those spring sports, or the ones in the winter that didn't get to play for a state championship, and the opportunities that they've missed out on. I mean, it's pales in comparison to the larger picture, but at the same time, it is something to take into consideration.
And it's two sides of it. I mean, you have the winter sports, like you said a second ago. They are in maybe the most important part of their season, and they're seeing it end. So that's obviously a very sad situation going on there. And then for the spring sports kids, now obviously you're going to have some crossover athletes with that kind of stuff, but it's just having maybe it taken away. It's not been taken away fully just yet. Right now it's suspended as opposed to completely canceled, the spring sports season, but the possibility of having it taken away before it even gets going as well is also a really bad thing.
Well, let's change topics for a little bit and talk about some of the things that were able to get finished before everything got brought to a screeching halt. And let's talk about Penn State hockey, a team that had some Section 5 contributors and do some great things.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the regular season because the end of the college hockey season had become cut short and everything, unfortunate with that going on. But the successes of the season that did happen, the parts of it that did happen, are still successes regardless of the premature end. Penn State men's hockey in a stacked Big Ten. They win the regular season crown with a couple of Rochesterians having a big role on the team. Senior Nate Sucese from Fairport, he leads the team in points in this season and also was top 20 nationally in points per game. And then you have in the regular season finale at home versus ranked Minnesota, in a game where the Nittany Lions really needed a win in order to seal the deal in the conference for that regular season crown. They found themselves in the third period down 2-1, but then in pretty miraculous fashion, even with them being the more highly regarded team in the matchup and in the conference, in 31 seconds, just 31 seconds, they scored 2 goals to win the game. The game winner is scored by a freshman who had only come into that game with 1 goal on the season so far. He's a former Penfield Patriot, Kevin Wall. So big story there, very opportune time to have that second goal. And another interesting tidbit is the way the NCAA tournament works in college men's hockey. They would have hosted, regardless of what seed they were given, hosted one of the NCAA tournament regionals in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So still, regardless of everything that came about with coronavirus, still a very successful go of it.
Great to see. And closer to home now, the Brockport Golden Eagles, another successful year, and once again, some Section 5 contributors.
Yeah, so before college basketball was cut short, kind of like I was talking about a second ago with college hockey, you saw the Brockport men, they got all the way of the D3 tournament to the Sweet 16 with a couple wins in a couple days at home there in their arena. And it's a really good thing to see because you mentioned a second ago the local connections. Justin Summers probably the top option on the team, not a Section 5 kid, but in the pair of postseason games, you saw a few Section 5 products really play a big role, really show out in that pair of games in consecutive days against Coast Guard and the next day against Middlebury to get to the Sweet 16. You had from Leadership Academy Devontae Hagens. He went for a combined 28 points and 22 rebounds, had a double-double in there. And then Tyler Collins from Newark, the point guard, he had 16 assists and even better, 31 points. And they really were efficient shooters through that short stretch of important games. And you throw in there a little bit of a younger player from really across the street at Brockport High School, Antonio Alvarez against Coast Guard. In the Friday matchup, he went for double figures as well. It's really good to see.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. Well, hopefully we'll have something more to talk about sooner rather than later. Matt, thanks for joining us once again. We're back with more of the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College right after this.